Portland Pilots are the 2016 West Coast Conference champions.
Sharp! In another dimension!
And it's gone! A walk-off two-run home run by Tate Budnick, and the Pilots win it.
The Portland Pilots win their first national championship in overtime.
Hi there, and welcome to another episode of Portside Pod. Today we're joined by the University of Portland SAAC President Sophia Castiglioni, who is a redshirt junior on the cross-country and track teams. Sophia, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us.
Thank you for inviting me.
Now, first off, for those people out there who might not know what SAAC is, why don't you give us an overview of what it is?
Okay, so SAAC stands for the Student Athlete Advisory Committee, and it's a committee on campus made of 2 student athletes from each sports team here. And the goals of the committee are just to improve the experience of the student athletes by giving them a voice and also just fostering community between everyone in the athletic department. So like the big things are we communicate with the athletic department and raise like concerns that pertain to like student athlete welfare. And we also aim to unite the athletic department by cultivating like a sense of community and inclusion between all the athletic teams. And then we also organize community service events to provide student athletes with volunteer opportunities and give back to the Portland community.
So is this something that you kind of always knew you wanted to be a part of? And also, how did you become president?
Okay, so my freshman year, I just saw like the other girls on the team and the girls who were participating in SAAC, especially it was Dylan, Allegra, and Lauren. And I was very interested in it, so I would sit in on a couple meetings and then became our representative my sophomore year. And I think got more involved, and then I ran for vice president. Allegra, who was running for president, she pushed me to run, and so I did, and it was great, and I really liked being vice president and helping out and being on the executive committee, and so I ran for president last year to try to follow in her footsteps and hope I could make a difference at the school.
And like you mentioned, you guys do so much throughout the year, so many tasks, so many initiatives. How do you find time for SAAC, running, and school?
I think it's just, about balance and like knowing when to give and when to stop. And it's not too bad. Like, a lot of other students too have lots of like clubs and other interests and work. So in a way, it just balances out. I think it's like, as long as you're interested in it and you like doing it, it's always easy to find time for things you like.
Absolutely. And let's talk about some of the initiatives specifically. This year you began Pilots Talk, which also includes Chapter for Change. Talk about what those entail.
Okay, so Chapters for Change was more of a weekly post that has links to like podcasts, videos, different like movies or articles. And this was all in response to like the social justice movement that's been happening, like racial and social justice, especially after like the murder of George Floyd. So I think it was just like a big reaction and shock, and we wanted to do something too. And so that was Chapters for Change, and that's within Pilots Talk. And Pilots Talk is, again, it's just hoping to foster like a sense of community and just for people to be able to come and safe. And I think people were pretty frustrated over the summer with what was happening, especially since they were isolated during the pandemic too. And so it just created a space for people to come together and talk and voice their frustrations and voice how like we want this change to happen. And so we were trying to educate like all the student athletes who were coming to, and to say, yeah, this is, how can we make the Portland community better? How can we make UP a better place? Like in response to this wonderful movement that's going on right now.
And another huge topic going on these days are the elections, which are now only days away. A few months ago, UP started the initiative Pilots Vote, which was an effort to kind of spread the word about voting and get the entire athletic department registered to vote. You guys were heavily involved in that. Why do you think or feel something like that is important?
I think it's important because historically, people ages like 18 to 25, 18 to 30 have had a pretty low voter turnout. And so it was just trying to get people in that age category to go and to register and to vote and to make their voice heard. And I think it's just hard because in times like these, you feel like you can't make a difference. And we just wanted to put it out there like, yes, like every vote counts, and like please do vote, because it's like one way you can control like what your future looks like. So for everyone who can be registered, like use that privilege that you have.
Another big thing about SAAC is community service, and you guys have been involved with the Special Olympics the last few years. What's it been like to work with them?
Do you mean specifically now, like that it's virtual?
Oh, yeah. Well, before the pandemic, and also including now, since your relationship with them has continued.
Okay, yeah. So I think it's lovely that we had a good relationship with them. And in years past, we've had a field day at the end of the year where they come. The Special Olympics organization comes and they bring a lot of athletes, and we pair up and we go through a bunch of sports. Like we have like a basketball clinic and a track and field clinic and a soccer clinic. And so that's hard right now because it's virtual. So instead we've joined them because they've already been doing virtual events. So we've joined them for social hours and dance parties and just some workouts. And some of our sports teams have led workouts. I think volleyball led a workout either last week or the week before. And it's been nice to be able to engage, even though it's virtual, and have that connection still.
That is awesome to see that relationship has continued through the pandemic. So this year, obviously, vastly different from probably any year you've ever experienced before. Remote schooling, a delayed cross-country season. Personally, how are you doing? How's it going?
I mean, I was definitely disheartened during the summer a little bit, to find out, school's online and, the season was postponed. It seemed canceled. It didn't seem like we were going to have one. And I think everyone was, but I think we did a good job of communicating and talking and still lifting each other up. And it's been easier now that almost our entire team is back at school. So we've been able to train and we've been able to lift our spirits, and we know now that we will have a cross-country championship. So we're excited to see what that's going to look like.
So you mentioned you guys have been training. How's the team looking? And also, is it kind of hard to stay focused with the delayed season?
Yes, I think it is hard to stay a little focused, especially when we didn't know that we were going to have a season. We're like, okay, it's going to be, X months before we ever race again. It was hard to know, okay, let's put in all this hard work now, knowing that we might not have a season, and maybe like track could be canceled too. But I think all being in Portland has definitely helped, and we're able to push each other and motivate each other to do workouts. So, and I think now that we're getting closer to a season too, it's easier to see. It's like easier to know that, okay, it's going to happen. So it has helped with motivation.
And so you're now in your fourth year at UP. You're a veteran in the cross-country track program. How have you enjoyed your time so far at UP, and what has head coach Ian Soloff meant to you?
Oh, that's a loaded question. I've really enjoyed it, and it's sad to think that it might come to an end soon. Yeah, but they both have meant so much to me. I think I've been really able to grow as a person here, and I think the team and Ian have been so instrumental in that, and being able to gain confidence as a person and to follow my own path and to be a supportive teammate and leader. And it's meant the world, and I don't think I'm ever going to forget these 4 years.
That is great to hear. Sophia, the president of UP SAAC and a redshirt junior on the cross country and track teams, thanks again for joining us.